Good morning. I think you all know what I'm going to be talking about today. It is the trade war. It has global implications, and I think many people have discussed this. I'd like to give it a Canadian perspective, but note that I'm talking about the impact it's going to have worldwide. Now, yesterday, the Trump government officially announced that as of Tuesday, there would be a 25% tariff on all goods from Mexico and Canada, 10% on energy goods, and a 10% tariff on all goods from China, which is in addition to previous tariffs. He cites concerns over drug trafficking and illegal immigrants. The reality is for Canada, it is less than 1% of the fentanyl that goes into the United States comes from Canada. It's a good bet that more is coming out than is going in. So this, either he doesn't understand that, or this is not the real reason. There is a historical context between Canada and the US that I kind of want to go into more. So first the US, because trade or tariffs, they are not new. In the early 20th century, high tariffs were actually quite common. There wasn't the sense of globalization that there is now. Post World War II, there was the industrialization picked up, there was a lot happening, and globalization became a true phenomenon. This led towards acts like NAFTA, which was the North American Free Trade Agreement. It was then changed in Trump's first term to the United States, Mexico, Canada Agreement, or the USMCA, and it allowed for a lot of interaction between North American partners. So there's so much over-border interaction, trade between the three countries that we just kind of, I guess we got a little bit lazy and we kind of assumed this would continue. What's happening now is a departure from this. It is a return to focus on one's own country, and specifically the United States, to not interacting in the same way with global partners, in this case, North American partners, Mexico and Canada. And it means that trade relations are changing, and they are changing dramatically. So how does that affect Canada? Well, that 25% tariff affects just a wide array of Canadian exports, and that includes things like automotive parts, agricultural products, consumer goods, and of course, in the 10%, energy products. And the United States gets over 60% of its energy imports from Canada. 75% of all exports or imports, pardon me, into the United States are from Canada. This means that Canada, because its main trading partner will no longer be its main trading partner, we will experience a contraction of our gross domestic product, or our GDP. And this could be quite significant. It could result in reduced sales overall, reduced jobs. It could result in the economy will go into recession. This is going to impact us very severely. The most obvious effect will be immediate, and that is increased consumer prices. Now, even though, and this is important to recognize, even though energy exports to the United States are only being tariffed at 10%, that is going to impact us quite significantly, particularly here in Alberta and also in provinces like Ontario and Quebec. Then there's Mexico. 80% of its exports go to the US. So again, we're talking about things like automotive manufacturing and agriculture. Now, it's important to note that with automotive manufacturing, the three countries interact. I mean, the parts of the cars as they're being built, the parts of the automobiles as they're being built, these go back and forth several times over borders. And that's going to change. So both Canada and the US have made it very clear that there will be retaliatory tariffs. The United States has also said that if Canada applies tariffs, they will increase their tariffs. So we are officially in a war. We can't not respond. We must respond in kind. We must stand strong. There's no option. It's not pretty, but there's no option. Both Canada and the US, as I said, have stated very clearly there will be retaliatory tariffs. And so this is going to escalate. It's going to get very ugly very quickly. So what are the global implications of a trade war in North America as well as increasing tariffs on China? Well, first of all, the obvious one is that global supply chains will be disrupted. Companies will obviously look at selling elsewhere, about interacting with other countries. Canada has already been working on this. This will change trade routes. This will change the way countries interact with one another. Financial markets have already taken a hit. We're seeing investors being quite wary, and that's impacting. And international trade relations are going to change. The World Trade Organization, the WTO, is concerned, I guess, that other countries may adopt similar protectionist attitudes and measures like the United States, and this could lead to a fragmentation of the overall global trading system. And please note, this is something that we have worked on over decades, since the end of World War II specifically, but it has been a long, involved negotiation worldwide, and this is going to be impacted quite significantly. There are sectors that are going to be more impacted than others. The automobile industry is obviously going to be impacted quite significantly. That means that people everywhere, and right now I'm going to focus a little bit on Canada and the US and Mexico, prices of automobiles will go up, and they will go up significantly. And agriculture will be affected. Food prices are going, you think they're bad now? Wait till they go up, because they will go up. The United States will not have its trading partners, so it'll have a surplus of certain items, and it won't have other items. There will be the issue of energy. Now, for instance, Ontario, Doug Ford has made it very clear that he is willing to cut off energy to several United American states. Alberta has been more cautious, and I think the Premier is starting to see that her attempts to engage with Donald Trump were not going to get us anywhere. She talks about being quote unquote disappointed. This is more than disappointment. This is an all-out war, as I said. This means that energy globally will cost more. So for those of you from the United States, when you're heating your houses, when you're getting gasoline for your vehicles, when you're taking a trip on an airliner, remember, you don't have access to what you used to have access to. This will increase inflation. It will have a significant impact on everyday consumers. Canadians are already, there's a big drive to to buy Canadian, to not purchase American-made or partially American-made products. It's not always easy. A lot of products are because of global trade, they are made in a variety of countries. They come from parts and pieces with different countries. And now we're seeing that puts us in a vulnerable position. So again, this will change. Canadians are really focused on buying Canadian. There are going to be long-term economic consequences of this. People's investment choices will change. Again, as I said, we've seen it already hit the markets. It will become more significant. It will slow economic growth everywhere. And then, of course, there are the global trade patterns. As I said, Canada has been looking at developing and has been developing trade relationships with countries that we maybe had not considered before, that we had not looked at. And as those trade routes change, the United States will become more insular, and other countries will become more active with each other. This will impact global trade, obviously. There are ways that governments can mitigate some of the damage, however limited they are. The one I just talked about, which is diversifying the partners going elsewhere. Of course, there's also providing domestic supports. So, for instance, we saw the CERB during COVID, providing supports to help families and individuals meet their basic needs, purchase food, pay their rent, pay their automobile costs, that sort of thing. Canada is very proactive in this way. They don't always hit all the main points, and there were significant problems with CERB, but it showed that governments can get involved and they can kind of attempt to alleviate some of the stress. Obviously, for Canada and Mexico, there's going to be a disruption of our supply chains. For the United States, because of this insular attitude, there's going to be a significant change in your everyday economics. I would almost be willing to say that you're going to hit the floor. The economics in the United States are going to change dramatically. People are talking about gasoline, for example, going up 50 to 70 cents per gallon. Don't be surprised. With retaliatory tariffs, of course, it's going to get worse and worse. But we can't not react. People, businesses, individuals, governments, we must look at alternatives. The United States can no longer be seen as a truly viable trading partner. They have made their case, and I believe we need to take action in relation to their words. They're being quite serious. With that, I say I would love to hear from my American friends. I have American family who I'm very concerned about. I would love to hear from my Canadian friends. Again, I am Canadian. I was born here. I was raised here. I have lived in the United States, 3 different states, 3 different regions, 3 different time periods. And the thing that always comes across is that there are some really great people in the United States. They've just been silenced by a bully. And for that, you have my warmest regards, and I hope that you are surviving. For my Canadian and Mexican and worldwide friends, please know we are together. We stand together against what is happening. Like I said, we can't ignore it. We have to respond in kind. That being said, if you enjoyed this, I hope you will hit subscribe and like. I hope you will share with those who might be interested. If you are going to reply, please keep the replies respectful. There's no reason for abuse. And with that, I say goodbye.